All right, let's get started. Thank you all again so much for joining this afternoon. We are in week 4 of North Carolina's Countdown to College. And so what that means is that this week we have a focus on, I applied, now what? And so that I applied part might mean I did my FAFSA, now what might happen, or I did RDS, or I did my college applications, hopefully last week during college application week. And so what is going to happen now? If you have any questions as we go through, please feel free to send them over in the chat. After our formal presentation, you will be able to unmute and ask questions that way as well if you would like. We do ask that you remain muted during the formal part of the presentation. So send chat questions over anytime you would like. This presentation is being recorded. And also we have Juana Hernandez-Lira, who is also here with us today, and she is going to take kind of the last third of the presentation and provide you some fabulous information in Spanish. So you are also welcome to send your questions over in Spanish. And then when you unmute, if you want to ask a question in English or in Spanish, both will be perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and get started because we have a lot of information to give you this afternoon. So just an FYI, what is Countdown to College? What are we here for? So Countdown to College is a statewide initiative put on by CFNC, College Foundation of North Carolina. And it is an initiative to help our students, with the 3 main pieces of the college admissions process. So that includes residency, RDS, that includes the FAFSA form, and that includes college applications. We've been doing this for a long time, and last week was college application week, which is a very big week for all of us across the state. It is a time when a lot of institutions waive their fees, and hopefully you all were able to take advantage of that last month. Okay, so we really just want to provide you with a lot of information as we can. We had a lot of programs this month. Some of you were able to participate in those or watch them. We will repeat this program Thursday evening at 6 o'clock, and then that will be a wrap for Countdown to College. And if you have an interest in telling someone or having someone attend the program Thursday evening at 6 o'clock, you can find out more information by going to cfnc.org/events and register there, or cfnc.org/C2C. Okay, so let's dig into the meat of our presentation. So, like I said earlier, we had a focus on a lot of different factors, a lot of different pieces of the college admissions, college enrollment process for our students, whether they're going to 2-year, 4-year, public, private. We talk a lot about the FAFSA, we talked a lot about residency and those college applications. So let's talk about the FAFSA form. So hopefully you all were able to complete and submit the FAFSA. If you didn't yet, that's okay. This information is still really good for you to hang on to and listen to for after you do get that FAFSA form done. If you haven't done your FAFSA form, we encourage you to get it done as soon as possible, especially making sure that you meet your college deadlines for when you need to have that done by, keeping in mind that some of those institutions will need the FAFSA form done earlier for institutional scholarships. Okay, so what might happen next? So after you complete your FAFSA, you will get something called a student aid report emailed to you in whatever email you used on the FAFSA. You will have your, an email address, whether it's your personal one or your school one, used in a lot of different ways throughout all this process. So we encourage you to be checking that email frequently, not once a week. You need to be checking it every day, because if the Department of Ed needs anything for the FAFSA form, they're going to email you at that email address you put on the form. If you need to follow up with some stuff for residency, you're going to be emailed, possibly text. If you opted into the text, which I hope you did for residency. Just so that you have another way of getting the information that you need. So you have to make sure you're checking your email for all of these. If you used your high school email address for all of this stuff, that is completely fine. But remember, you will lose access to that at some point next summer after you graduate. So you will need to make sure that you have, an additional email address that you are using and checking, okay, and start to put that on stuff as we get closer to graduation time. So you will get a student aid report sent to you. Essentially, your student aid report you want to hang on to, keep. You might need it for something, but it's another opportunity for you to take a look at your information you provide on the FAFSA form. Make sure you didn't mess anything up. Just save it and hang on to it, okay? What might happen next could be a couple different things. So number one, you may be selected for verification, okay? Statistically, about a third of you on this call are going to be selected for verification, which means that you're just going to have to verify a few things from your FAFSA form to your financial aid office, okay? How will you know if you were set for verification? Could be one of two ways. You could get an email, so you have to make sure you're checking your email, or you could get something sent to you in the mail, okay? And so you've got to make sure that you're reading it. If you get it and you're confused, immediately call your financial aid office, okay? So if you get a piece of paper, you know, it's on some sort of blue printed paper, here's what you don't do. Don't call your financial aid office and say, I got this blue piece of paper in the mail. What do I do with it? Well, do you still have it? No, I threw it away. What do I do with my blue piece of paper? Okay. Make sure you're hanging on to this stuff. You're going to want to create a file folder if you can, or an envelope or something, you know, a special drawer where you're keeping all of this communication related to financial aid, FAFSA, and admissions, and even scholarship information. Or if you're doing everything in your email, just create a special folder in your email where you keep this stuff so you don't lose it. So verification, you may be selected for verification, and you need to follow the instructions on the piece of paper to show what you need to verify. If 7 of you on this call get selected for verification, what person 1 and 2 are asked for is likely going to be very different from what 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 were asked for. It's very dependent on the student and the family and their situation. So you may be asked to explain something, provide a document, do something. Oftentimes, verification is very simple to, upload documents. You can take a picture, you can upload it that way. It should be pretty simple. But if you have questions, you should immediately reach out to that institution's financial aid office or whoever is handling verification. You can call the number that's on that information as well. Some colleges handle verification themselves. So verification information might come directly from your institution. Other institutions use a third-party organization or company to help with verification because they just, they need to outsource some of the work because there's just so much to do. So if you get anything in the mail and you want to make sure it's legitimate or you're not sure, call the institution and ask questions. So do that right away because your financial aid process is on hold until, the verification is really handled. So really important, okay? So you've got to answer all questions, handle everything in a timely manner, okay? So once you're finished with verification, or if you don't get selected for verification, you will, after the verification process, get what's called financial aid offers from your institution, okay? The financial aid offer, and I have a couple images to show you that in just a minute, but your financial aid offer is going to show you, hopefully, what age you are eligible for, essentially how much is your family's portion, and that's kind of that. That's the summary of it. Now, it can look different. It can, some are very clear, some are confusing. Call your college's financial aid office. Keep in mind also your school counselor as your high school or college advisor, but especially your school counselor has probably seen lots of different offer letters over the years from a lot of different institutions. And so you might be able to pop into your school counselor's office, your college advisor too, but the reason I say counselor for this one is that chances are your school counselor has done this for a while, and so they've seen a lot of those offer letters, and so they can kind of help you decipher that information as well. Some institutions, more of our private and independent schools, will send you an estimated offer letter early in the fall or maybe, late fall, early winter, and it will say estimated on it, okay? And that's important because that institution likely knows that they cost a little more to attend, and so they want to make sure that you know that they have, for example, some institutional aid to offer your students so that you have, a little bit more information to compare to. So that might be one reason why you get an estimated early offer letter. Most institutions are not sending offer letters until February and March, okay? Most of the time, financial aid offices are waiting until admissions has made their decision on who they're going to admit prior to sending financial aid offers. So if you think about a big institution like Chapel Hill, for example, they're accepting, if you think of an institution that's accepting maybe a third of the students who apply, their financial aid office cannot, they just don't have the time and the people to send offer letters to everyone who applied. They're going to wait for admissions to make decisions on who they're going to admit before they start sending out those offer letters. And so that's one of the reasons that they don't send them out until February or March. If you're waiting on your offer letter and you have some questions, please do not underestimate the power of contacting that college's financial aid office. The information will be on the college's website. They're happy to provide you with information and say, oh, great, well, we should be sending out award letters, offer letters the next 2 weeks or so. and then you would know to kind of wait for it. Keep in mind that most families are waiting on award letters to make decisions on those offer letters. So don't ever feel weird or self-conscious that, it's February and you don't know where you're going yet, even though you've been admitted maybe 2 places and you don't know which one you're going to. Perfectly normal, your family to wait on those offer letters to figure out which institution your family is able to honestly afford. And this is a good time also for our families to have these good, honest conversations about what we have saved, what we may need to borrow, what we'll have to wait and see those offer letters to make a decision on where we can attend. So that is extremely common. So just keep that in mind. You should be able to compare these institutions. You can compare them just individually on your own with a piece of paper, or the offer letters a lot of times come electronically as well. But you got to check your email to know that you need to log in to see your offer letter. But the College Board also has a resource on their website where you can plug in information and compare it so that you can really compare apples to apples if you need it. Okay, so you really need to make sure the message of this slide is check your emails. Act on things right away. Call your financial aid office if you have a question. And just because you submit your FAFSA form, Sunday doesn't mean you're going to get your offer letter, Wednesday. Okay, so it takes some time. But again, call the institution if you have any questions or need any help. Okay, this is from the Department of Ed's website, which is studentaid.gov. And they have some great information on accepting financial aid, on, understanding, what happens after the FAFSA form and all that. If you get those offer letters and you're comparing them and your family finally says, yes, we're going to go to school ABC, this is where we're going, woohoo, team ABC, okay? You will have some instructions on that offer letter on what to do next, okay? So you will accept the award, you accept the aid, start with free money first. So you'll accept all that free money, which is grants and scholarships. And then, you'll have to, depending on the institution, you'll do it paper, you do it electronically. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to the institution's financial aid office. So like I said, first accept funds you don't have to pay back, which should be grants and scholarships. And keep in mind too, if you initially do not accept any federal student loans, so let's say when you get your award letter in March, you're like, oh, we got it, we're not borrowing, we're good to go. And then let's say in July, one of your parents loses a job or something, and suddenly you're thinking, oh, I think we do need some loans. We're in a tough spot. You can always reach out to the college's financial aid office and say, I declined those loans back in March, but I need them now because my dad lost his job or something. Communicate with them and let them know. And so saying no doesn't mean no forever. You can also accept part of any loans that are offered to you. So they might offer you $3,500, and you might say, I think we only need $2,000. So you can accept just that $2,000, okay? So lots of different options, but again, make sure you're communicating with the financial aid office. This scholarship piece is extremely important because you're going to do your FAFSA form, and as far as federal and state aid goes, you're eligible for what you're eligible for, okay? There's just those federal and state grants. You're going to get what you're eligible for based on your family income, but then also how early you did your FAFSA form. Scholarships is super, super, super important because those offer letters, I'll tell you, is the moment when families wish, students wish, they could apply for more scholarships. Because that's the moment where everything comes together and you realize, oh, okay, well, it looks like our family out of pocket is blank and we don't have that, or we only have part of that. If you'd apply for scholarships and then more scholarship applications early on, you're going to save yourself possibly some headaches, come spring. Okay, so scholarship is super important. We have the FAFSA form done. Theoretically, if you're listening to this, you need to get on applying for scholarships, and you need to work your butt off on applying for those unless your family just has the money to flat out pay for your education. You have different avenues applying for scholarships. There's local scholarships that typically your school counselor, college advisor knows about. There's statewide scholarships that are open to students all across North Carolina. You can go to CFNC.org for those, go to our pay section, and you'll see the scholarship search there. You can search based on different things. The institutions that you're applying to have scholarships. Please apply, including community colleges. Some of our students assume community colleges don't have scholarships. That is very incorrect. They have scholarships. You need to go onto the college's website and you need to do some research. Okay? You need to make sure you are applying by the deadlines, giving it your all and following whatever deadlines and instructions they have. There are national scholarships you can apply for also. I encourage you to apply for those. Keep in mind that you will have the most competition with those, because it's students nationally. And so if it's me as a student, I'm thinking, where's my less competition? And I'm going to focus on some local ones and some statewide institutional, and then I'll get on to my national ones then. But that's just kind of what my train of thought. So we talked about this, so some things you might see on your financial aid offer letter, what the cost of attendance is at the institution. Keep in mind the cost of attendance includes, room board, tuition, books, meal plan, includes everything. It will include what your EFC is based on your FAFSA information. Your EFC is not what you will pay for your education. And in fact, we have something coming in the near future called FAFSA simplification, which will be a nationwide thing. And that term, EFC, is not going to be on your FAFSA information any longer because it's been there forever and it's extremely confusing, that wording. That is not your estimated family contribution because that would be your bill, right? And your bill depends on what college you go to, and hopefully you get some scholarships and work study and loans. That is not how much you will be paying out of pocket. Even if it says zero, that doesn't mean that education will be zero, okay? Hopefully you will see an itemized list of, what you get for free money and then not free money, what to do next. There might be some disclaimers and those types of things. So these are some of the things you will see on your offer letters. Here is an example of an offer letter. Okay, so they're saying, this is the academic year. Here is some information on your itemized awards. And so you might see some information down here and think, okay, I know that this is NC need-based scholarships, free money. Okay, that's good. LR Highland Award. That sounds really interesting. That sounds good. Is that free money? You may have some questions from your offer letter. This is where I said you need to pop into your school counselor's office. They may have gotten this college's award letter 3 times over. They've already called. They know what this stuff is. So ask if you have any questions. Over here, you can see this institution is offering you some loan money. Again, you can accept all, part, or none. Okay. They're going to show you that they're going to say based on how you did the application, you want to live on campus. And so this is how much it's going to cost a semester for this institution. And you'll also get some more study money and so on and so on. Okay. And so this is an example of one institution's financial aid offer letter. Here is a second one. Okay, so this offer letter lists cost of attendance right here. So they show books and supplies, this is average. So institutions get their cost of attendance based on what students spend on average for some of these things. And so they're plugging together a list for, books and supplies and such. Possibly some loan money down here. It looks like this student was not awarded any scholarship or grants. Maybe they didn't apply for any scholarships, and so they've been offered some loans. And this is web accept. So this is all done online. Okay, so they're different. Okay, and so again, the institutions do things differently. You will find that a lot of our four-year publics have the same system. That the system might look like the other one to log in, but it really can vary. On CFNC.org, under our Pay for College section, you will see some information on college financing resources. Then in that, it's a financial aid glossary, and it's a glossary that gives you, definitions of terms. When I hear the word glossary, my eyes tend to just, glaze over, like, oh, that sounds like a lot, but this might be really helpful as you get those offer letters and you're like, what's AGI? What's an acceptance rate? What's capitalized interest? So this can help you very much as you get those offer letters and you are trying to work things out, okay? So that is my spiel on FAFSA. I know it was long, but that FAFSA is really important. I'm going to give you a shorter spiel on RDS because there's fewer things that might happen once you complete it, and also a shorter spiel on college admissions. And so again, if you have any questions, feel free to send them over in the chat, okay? So let's talk a little about residency. So as I said at the beginning, there are 3 main things that we focus on this month that are big pieces of the college admissions process. That is FAFSA form, that's residency, and that is college admissions, okay? So hopefully, theoretically, you have done residency already this month. If not, that's okay, get it done soon. Once you complete it, there's just a couple different things that might happen. So when you complete residency, you will get what's called an RCN, which is a residency certification number. Okay, and that RCN is going to be required on all of the community college applications, okay, in order to in order to complete it, okay? And it's required as part of the admissions process for all of our institutions at some point. So even if you're applying to a school that RCN number isn't required on the application, you will have to do it at some point, okay? When you get the RCN number, you'll have to, go to the institution. Probably if it's not on the application, you'll have to log into that college's, login, portal, whatever they have, and provide your RCN number. That tells the institution if you are in state or out of state for tuition purposes. If you are in state for tuition purposes, you will also be considered for state grants if you fill out your FAFSA form. Okay. And by the way, as once I finish up here in a few minutes talking, I will check the chat because I think there might be some questions that have come through directly to me, and so I'll work on those questions in a few minutes. So one thing might happen after you do RDS. If you do not agree with your determination, okay, so if you get out of state and you feel that should be in state, okay, the first thing you can do is file an appeal. Okay, so I'm going to come down to this slide right here. So you can do a RDS appeal. Okay, so the RDS appeal has to be done online, again, at ncresidency.org. Not too difficult to go through and do. You need to do it within 10 days of getting your decision, so of getting that RCN done. So you have 10 days to do it. You may have to provide some additional documentation. So if you just email and say it's wrong, they're not going to say, oh yeah, cool, no, never mind. You're going to have to show why it's wrong, okay? Now that's important for a lot of students because the RDS process is, a computerized process, and so you're not talking to someone. What the RDS appeal does is it allows you to actually talk to a human being that's at the office in Raleigh, and they can talk you through what your situation may be and help you figure out, based on your conversation and documents that you support, if your out-of-state determination can be changed to in-state. Keep in mind that this is not a college choice. This is not a CFNC choice, RDS choice. This is based on state law. So we have to follow state law guidelines. And it is based on where parents live. Okay. I got the question yesterday, actually from my sister about my niece. And, she's interested in, they live in a different state and she's interested in going to college in North Carolina. She said, well, once she's there a year, then she gets to be in state, right? It's based on where parents live. So her and or her husband, they really have to relocate to North Carolina and show that they are North Carolina residents, right? Paying taxes in North Carolina, having a car registered in North Carolina. There's different ways to show that you are a real resident, with the 12 months. So the RDS appeal gets you to a situation where you can talk to a human being if you need to do that, okay? Another option is reconsideration. So if you submit your FAFSA form, your RDS, I had this with a student last week. He went through RDS and realized he was answering questions wrong, perhaps, going too fast, not reading it carefully. And he just said, look, this isn't going to give me the right results because I did the wrong information. So we essentially started all over again, which is a reconsideration. Okay, so that would be good if you plugged in wrong data, you made a mistake, you didn't submit a document on time. So the other thing that might happen with RDS is you may have to submit some sort of document to prove, just to show something you're talking about. It is so easy to submit a document for residency. I can literally take my phone, take a picture of what I need to submit, and upload it on my phone. Okay, so it's really, really easy. How do you know if you need to submit a document? It'll say right there, ncresidency.org. Okay, so very important. Okay, so keep in mind you have a few different options. You may have to submit some material. You may want to do a reconsideration. You may want to do an RDS appeal, or you may do none of the above. You may go through it nice and slow, answer the questions, get it in state. You know it's right. You don't have to supply documentation, and you may be completely done with that. Okay, so that may be what happens with that. So let's talk a little bit about admissions, and then I'm going to pass this over to my colleague, Juan. Okay, so again, theoretically, you have submitted your college applications, or at least the colleges that waived their application fees last week. Okay, so what might happen next? Okay, so this snapshot right here is from CFNC.org. In our admission section, we do have different bits of information, and I'm going to show you some snapshots as we kind of go through. So once you have submitted your application, you need to make sure that you are, any questions you have, you're checking your email, all that, make sure you're communicating with the admissions office. just like I harped on communicating with the financial aid office. The admissions office, in case you don't realize, they have different folks who are admissions counselors working in the admissions office, and they all have different sets of territory. And so based on where you live, there is an admissions counselor for whatever school you're looking at who is your contact. You find this person out by going to the college's website. Most colleges, not all websites, but most college websites, go to the admissions section. There's a place where you can see a list of admissions counselors, and it says, you know, this person is this area, this person is this area, so you know exactly who your admissions counselor is, okay? Ask them any questions you might have. I submitted my application. In my transcript, are you good? Do you have everything you need? Maybe you want to share test scores, okay? Do you have do you have that? You'll also have your portal in most instances with that institution where you can log in and make sure you've submitted everything that is necessary for those applications, okay? So if you have submitted everything that you need, they have test scores, they have transcripts, they have the application, they have the fee if you need that. What you're waiting for at that point is your admissions decision, okay? It's going to come at different times based on when you applied, if you did early action or if you did regular, or if you do regular decisions, okay? That deadline isn't up yet for institutions. So you may get admitted, okay, and you'll get a letter or an email, congratulations. You may be waitlisted. If you are waitlisted, what that means is that school is saying, maybe, okay, let's see your first semester grades, or let's see how you do in that one math class, because, you know, we can see that you're struggling and your major is going to be a math major. So that just means wait and see. If you have any questions about, well, is there anything else I can provide you with to help you make your decision? Or is there anything that you need from me? Or when might I hear from you? You're my first choice. I really want to come here. Communicate with that admissions office. I cannot tell you how vital it is. Guess who makes decisions on admissions and who gets admitted? The admissions counselors. Okay? So you need to communicate with these people, get to know them, ask your questions, you know, show how interested you are, okay? So they might need test scores, they might need grades, so you have different choices with being waitlisted. If you are denied, okay, you have other options. So see if you get into another school, or you always have the option of starting at a community college locally and then trying to transfer that institution. Maybe you struggled academically in high school. COVID has thrown everyone for a loop. Perhaps you struggled, you didn't get in where you applied, and now you're maybe in the spot where you're thinking, what am I going to do? You can always start at your local community college, make sure you're in the university transfer program if that's what you're looking to do. And then focus, make good grades, work your butt off. When you are applying as a transfer student to that four-year institution 2 years down the road, they're not asking for your high school transcript. They are only asking for that community college transcript. Okay, so it's almost like a fresh start if you are declined. Other institutions are waitlisted, you know, and then declined. Okay, so you do have options. There are options for everyone. Okay. After you apply, again, on CFNC.org, I have this site here, but you can find it on our website. We have FAQs on there. When will the college contact me? Well, it depends on the institution. When will I know if I'm admitted? Well, it depends on the institution. Go on their website, call them, see if you have any, any information that you can get, okay? As I said, if you do not get accepted, you have the option of looking at another school, transferring. CFNC, we do have something called a college redirection pool that's open from April 1st to August 30th. And it is an opportunity for you to plug in some basic information about yourself, like GPA, if you have a test score that you want to share, you may not. You can plug all the information in, and then colleges they go into that redirection pool and they will likely reach out to you. You're not going to hear from Duke. So let's keep it real here. We're not going to hear from Duke. They're not researching to find students to get into their class, okay? But you're going to hear from your local community college, possibly, maybe some private institutions, different schools that have open admission slots still, okay? And so it's a good tool. If you come to April and you're thinking, wow, things are not working out the way I just knew they would, okay? Be flexible with some of this. Make sure that there is more than one institution that you have your heart set on. Okay, just in case you don't get in or you're waitlisted, that your world isn't thrown for a loop. Every adult you talk to has got plans that did not work the way they thought they would, but you still ended up somewhere really interesting, right? And so we've got to learn to be a little flexible with all of this, just in case. Make sure you're applying to more than one school. Lastly, on CFNC, in the plan section, we do have some planning resources in here if it helps you. There's financial literacy resources. If you are planning on taking the SAT or ACT for the first time or again, well, it would be the SAT more for the first time, and you want to think about preparing in case you want to send those scores, there's a lot of free test prep we encourage you to take advantage of, like on CFNC. Right here, you'll see ACT and SAT prep. We link you to resources like Khan Academy and stuff to kind of help you through that. And like I mentioned, there is financial literacy resources on our website also in the Pay for College section. If you want to look at budgeting and you want to find that financial aid glossary, financial aid FAQs, some great things in there. So I am going to stop now. I'm going to come back to the chat and focus on that for a few minutes, and I'm going to pass everything over to our colleague, Juana. And again, if you have questions, send them over in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, April. So it's going to take me about 5 minutes to just review or share some of the information you just shared in Spanish. So I'll go ahead and transition over. So buenas tardes, mi nombre es Juana Hernández Lira. Soy una representante para servicios en español con College Foundation of North Carolina. Todo el mes de octubre, como muchos de ustedes ya saben, nos hemos estado enfocando en la convocatoria para ir a la universidad. Y todo el mes de octubre hemos estado proveyendo diferentes sesiones. Cada semana hemos tenido diferentes temas, diferente enfoque. La semana pasada tuvimos la semana de solicitud a la universidad. Y bueno, hoy vamos a estar hablando acerca de ya apliqué y ahora qué. Entonces, ¿qué pasa después de que hayas sometido tu solicitud de FAFSA, tu determinación de residencia y las solicitudes? Así que vamos a estar hablando acerca de eso esta noche. Bueno, entonces, de pronto muchos de ustedes ya llenaron FAFSA, la solicitud gratuita para ayuda federal para estudiantes. Entonces, ¿qué pasa después de someter la FAFSA? Ya que hayas sometido FAFSA, que la hayas firmado, asegúrate de que la FAFSA ha sido procesada, que ha sido enviada exitosamente. Es una de las primeras recomendaciones. Pero ya si tu FAFSA ha sido enviada exitosamente o sometida exitosamente, el segundo paso es de que las solicitudes se van a enviar a las instituciones que tú incluiste. Así que tuviste la oportunidad de elegir hasta 10 instituciones y ellas van a recibir la solicitud. Ahora, es posible de que tu FAFSA sea elegida para el proceso de verificación, ya sea a nivel federal o sea por parte de la institución. E incluso cada año, 30% de estudiantes que llenan la solicitud de FAFSA son elegidos para el proceso de verificación. ¿Qué es el proceso de verificación? Básicamente es un proceso en donde el gobierno federal o las instituciones necesitan más información o necesitan comprobar la información de que han incluido la FAFSA. Así que es muy importante que los estudiantes estén revisando sus correos electrónicos y que estén pendientes de cualquier comunicación que pueda venir a través de el Departamento de Educación, de Ayuda Financiera o a través de las universidades, ya que pueden pedir comprobantes o información adicional. Es muy importante que estén mirando sus correos, respondiendo a las preguntas y enviando la información que se les esté pidiendo. Ya cuando ustedes hayan enviado, si es que son elegidos para la verificación, ya que hayan entregado todos los documentos, la comprobación que se le está pidiendo, el estudiante entonces va a recibir lo que es una oferta de ayuda financiera. Estas ofertas de ayuda financiera pueden ser recibidas entre febrero, marzo o después. Todo depende en la institución, todo depende de cuándo el estudiante llenó la FAFSA, todo depende si el estudiante ha sido admitido o no ha sido admitido a esa universidad. Así que van a empezar a llegar las cartas de ayuda financiera o ofertas de ayuda financiera en donde la institución está diciendo, les está dando información acerca de cuánto dinero o ayudas le está ofreciendo la escuela, la institución, y también ahí van a ver lo que están recibiendo a través del estado, a través del gobierno federal. Entonces, cuando ustedes reciban estas cartas, es muy importante de que estén comparando las diferentes ofertas que están recibiendo. Siempre nosotros recomendamos llenar solicitud por lo menos 3 a 5 universidades para que ustedes puedan comparar sus opciones y ver cuál es la opción que más le conviene al estudiante o a la familia. Así que estén pendientes a estas cartas de oferta que les van a llegar y asegúrense de que estén llenando las solicitudes, porque en muchas ocasiones si no han llenado la solicitud para la universidad no le va a llegar la carta de oferta. Y después, por último, ustedes van a revisar la ayuda. Ya cuando se decidan a qué universidad van a ir, van a aceptar la ayuda financiera. Primero empezar con la ayuda que no se tiene que pagar para atrás, como las becas, las subvenciones. Eso es recomendable aceptarlo. Y pueden también negar la ayuda que no quieren recibir, como los préstamos, por ejemplo. Y por último, esta ayuda, carta de oferta, le va a ayudar ver cuánto le toca pagar a la familia. Ok, así que si ustedes ven que de pronto les va a tocar pagar un poquito de dinero, pueden aplicar para becas y siempre recomendamos que los estudiantes estén activamente solicitando becas durante el año que están en high school, último año, y también cuando estén en colegio, pero solicitar las becas es algo importante y parte del proceso después de la FAFSA. Ya cuando ustedes reciban su carta de ayuda financiera, oferta de ayuda financiera, hay que mirar alguna información. Solamente para entender un poquito acerca de la carta de ayuda financiera, van a poder ustedes ver el costo de asistencia y cuánto le toca de pronto pagar a la familia. Entonces, es la contribución esperada de la familia y este número se calcula al llenar la FAFSA. Ustedes van a ver ese número y van a ver el costo de la asistencia. También van a ver detalladamente los tipos de ayuda que el estudiante está recibiendo, ya sea subvenciones, ya sea que esté recibiendo trabajo estudio, préstamos o becas institucionales, van a poder ver esta información. También recordatorio para informar a la recepción de otras becas que espera recibir. ¿Qué significa esto? Esto significa de que si tú recibes varias becas, es importante dejar saber a la universidad que tú has recibido becas, especialmente si la beca no va directamente a la universidad. Es muy importante saber si vas a recibir otras becas o no, dejar saber a la universidad en caso de que hayas recibido otras ayudas. También va a haber información acerca de el aviso legal sobre las ayudas. Por ejemplo, si tú recibes alguna ayuda, ¿qué significa eso? Que estás de acuerdo en mantener un progreso satisfactorio durante todo el año. Si tú recibes un préstamo, que estás de acuerdo en pagar el préstamo para atrás después de que te gradúes. Van a estar también hablando acerca de eso. Vas a tener que firmar algún documento diciendo que tú entiendes todo eso, ¿no? También parte del proceso va a ser que va a haber una lista de acciones para poder completar el proceso. No se vas a tener que tomar ciertos pasos para que tú puedas recibir esa ayuda económica y también por último vas a tener que firmar los términos y condiciones que se aplican a la oferta de ayuda financiera. Entonces todo esto es parte del proceso de recibir esa ayuda. Eso es muy importante leerlo muy cuidadosamente, con mucha atención, entender lo que se está ofreciendo, entender cuál es lo que se va a pagar y también leer cuidadosamente los términos. Bueno, ahora hablemos un poquito acerca de la determinación de residencia. Ya cuando hayas llenado la determinación de residencia, acuérdense que esta es una solicitud que se completa para que el estudiante pueda ser considerado residente para ir a colegio o también para poder ser elegible para las becas o subvenciones estatales. Al llenar el RDS, el estudiante debe de guardar su número de RCN, el número de certificación, ya que algunas universidades van a pedir este número. También si hay cambios en la dirección, el estudiante debe de entrar y actualizar esa información si es que hay algún cambio en la información de contacto, dirección o número de teléfono. Estar seguros de que esté revisando su estado de residencia. Muchas veces lo que pasa es que el estudiante recibe una determinación inicial y eso puede cambiar si el estudiante no ha entregado algún documento que se le está pidiendo, alguna comprobación. Así que es muy importante estar al tanto y estar chequeando los correos electrónicos, asegurarnos de que todo esté en orden. Y si por alguna razón la determinación cambia de residente a no residente, acuérdense que pueden ustedes llenar una reconsideración o pedir una apelación y estaba hablando mi colega acerca de cómo se puede hacer eso. Tenemos documentos, tenemos recursos a través de nuestra página en caso de que necesiten hacer una reconsideración o una apelación y también acuérdense que tenemos un centro de llamadas donde pueden llamar y hacer preguntas en español y pueden recibir atención a través de nuestro centro de llamadas con un representante. Ok, ahora, después de enviar las solicitudes de admisión, entonces algo importante es asegurar de que estén revisando sus solicitudes o el estatus de solicitud a través del centro de aplicaciones en CFNC. Ahí pueden ver si las solicitudes han sido enviadas, si han sido procesadas. Es muy importante de estar chequeando. También deben de enviar sus expedientes académicos electrónicamente y eso lo pueden hacer a través de CFNC de forma gratuita. Pueden enviar su expediente académico ya ahorita y ya cuando ustedes se gradúen automáticamente los expedientes académicos finales se van a enviar a las universidades. Así que es parte del proceso también. Acuérdense de siempre estar pendientes de sus correos electrónicos, ya que algunas universidades van a necesitar información adicional. Puede ser que necesiten alguna información acerca de cartas de recomendación, puede ser que necesiten información de los padres o alguna duda en la solicitud que necesitan clarificar. Así que asegúrense de estar súper pendientes con los correos. Y también parte del proceso es esperar tus cartas de aceptación. Por eso decimos, aplica a todas las universidades que puedas y ya cuando recibas sus cartas de aceptación, tú vas a recibir después sus cartas de oferta económica y tú puedes tomar tu decisión. Si por alguna razón no eres admitido a tu escuela, donde donde pediste ingreso, no hay problema, hay muchas oportunidades, hay muchas más escuelas y universidades a través del estado, y luego también nosotros tenemos un sistema donde tú puedes apuntarte y las universidades te pueden buscar a ti en caso de que no eres elegido o no eres admitido a las instituciones donde tú quisiste ir. Y bueno, por último, les quiero recordar que tenemos información y recursos en nuestra página de CFNC en español. Pueden buscar más información allí, pero también recuerden que tenemos nuestro centro de llamadas y estamos acá para asistirles y ayudarles con cualquier duda que ustedes tengan en el proceso. Muchas gracias.
Right. Thank you so much, Juana, for offering that good information. And as I said earlier, this meeting is being recorded. So if you have any family members, that prefer to hear this presentation in Spanish, have the information that Juana was able to offer. You all will have a recording. You'll have a copy of the recording in a week or so. And again, I will be doing this program again Thursday night. We will not have Juana with us, unfortunately, and so it will just be information provided in English. So again, if you have family members who prefer to hear the information in Spanish, hopefully you can share some of this with them soon. If you have questions, you're welcome to continue to send them over in the chat in English and in Spanish. You're also welcome to unmute at this point and ask questions again in English and in Spanish. And really, this can be a free-for-all for anything that we've done this month related to admissions, financial aid, if you have scholarship questions, residency questions. I'm going to go ahead and just stop talking for a few minutes, so we might have some silence, but that's on purpose. And I am going to go ahead and stop recording as well in case you'd rather not have your question recorded. We do thank you for being here tonight.